Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. You've got me, and we're talking the important things. Life after 40, and all of the pain it brings. Sports Day. That's right, Sports Day. Internet issues and mini golf. Two different subjects. TV, movies, and computer games are all here as well for your ears and or eyeballs. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And I think we all know the big one. Share the podcast around. That's the big one. Give it to your friends, your family, your neighbours, your dog. Especially your dog. Dogs love podcasts. Anyway, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the darkest timeline. Hello. No amount of putting it off will change the way the world works. You know how every week I'm like, I really tried to get this one done early and it's 1:15 years. Oh. Today, I've tried to put this off for as long as possible because honestly, by the way, if you are a lizard person and you would like to come on the podcast and explain to me why this whole insanity is better than not this. And no, I'm not talking about politics or conspiracies. I'm talking about the fact that it is hot as balls right now, and I want someone to explain to me, as it is every year, why this is better. I don't want to do anything. I don't have to deal with anything. I don't understand. But hey, isn't it nice? No, it's not. Just like having a stupid pop-up. There, now I can see. How are you? Are you enjoying this horrible weather? Wow, lunchtime today. I was like, oh my God, it's so warm out here. The sun is absolutely baking. Oh, if only there was a way to make it worse. By the time I left work, I was like, where's the sun? Oh, that's right. That's how we make it worse. So yeah, I've been putting off doing it, which, as we know, is the best sort of way of generating perfect podcast content. There you go. See, can't even think of words. Stupid weather. I have been having a conversation with a friend of mine recently. He is due to turn 40 in a year. And he's got a variety of different plans for turning 40, all of which I'm like, yep, I absolutely support this message. That is a banging idea. But I've been doing the old, when you turn 40, it's all downhill from there. And the one I've been going with mostly is, when you go to bed the day before you turn 40 and you're like, this body is perfect, nothing hurts. And you wake up the next day and then everything hurts. That's the one I've been going with. And I keep saying, when you turn 40, everything will hurt. For no apparent reason, you won't know why, and all of this. And weirdly, oh, excuse me. Oh dear. I need one of those cough buttons now. Weirdly, when I say it to him, there's a part of my brain that goes, yeah, but you don't do all that bad. Yes, you know, when you stand up, you do that whole, you have to take a few steadying steps, I think I would call them. You know, when the old knee hurts and the hip hurts and the back hurts, and it takes you a few steps to work out the kinks. Always reminds me of my granddad. I always remember him standing up and doing this sort of like almost like a hop, like a hop, step and a jump without the jump. It's like a hop and a step when he first started like moving after standing up out of a chair. I feel like I'm carrying on the legacy, carrying it on. So there's that part of me that's like, you don't do all that badly, you know. Yes, every now and then you'll sneeze and throw your back out. A personal favourite of mine is bending over, bending over when you get out of the shower and coughing, and every vertebrae in your back pops. And then you collapse on the floor and can't move for 6 weeks. Yeah, you know, there's been a variety of different things like that. But generally, day to day, it's fairly plain sailing. Every time I see this friend, we have the same conversation. He says, well, I'm going to be 40 next year. It almost feels like it's something that's playing on his mind. And I always say the same thing, you know, oh, you know, I've told you, everything's going to start hurting. And I tell him about a different, new, interesting way of things hurting. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. I woke up and Karma had been to visit me in the night. And Karma said, you know how you keep telling people that once you turn 40, everything hurts? And you know how not really all that much of your body hurts at this moment in time? Well, let's even things up, shall we? So I had 3 random injuries. I had a wrist injury, a knee injury, I'm like, what was the third one? You know, talking about these 3 injuries, and I can't even remember one of them. The third one was a foot injury. All happened on the same day. All took a little while to work out. So let's break it down. Foot, plantar fasciitis, something I suffered. I suffered so cripplingly badly many years ago. Could not work it out. I was in absolute agony. Could barely walk. All of this. And very much like this time, like plantar fasciitis has kicked off, and I'm like, well, why? What has caused it? What has happened? What has changed? Oh, it hurts. I'm in a lot of pain. I can't walk. Obviously, I use my feet a lot for walking the dog, running, climbing, and, you know, getting around. So I'm like, well, I can't have this. So I start trying to piece it together, and I'm like, what has changed in my life that has randomly caused this problem? Tracked it down to my what I would refer to as my street shoes, i.e. not running shoes. They've been making a funny noise when I walk, they squeak. One of them in particular just so happens to be the one where the foot hurts. Like, okay, I wonder if there's a coincidence here. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to let you in on a little bit of something here. I have feet issues. When I was younger, I used to have to go to the hospital and the doctors a lot, see foot specialists, and I had a problem with my walking. Not major, but it wasn't right. Basically what it is I roll my foot. Specialists ended up saying, look, ultimately, barring surgery, you're just going to have to stick an insole in. And he's probably going to be quite hard wearing on shoes. And boy, they weren't wrong. Because the other thing is, over X number of years, obviously the quality of shoes go down, the price of shoes go up. You have to then settle somewhere in the middle, and you're not going to get as long out of them. So, whereas I could go 18 months in the same pair of shoes, it dropped to a year. And then in more recent years, I can't make it through a full year in a pair of shoes. And as it is for this particular pair, I got them for Christmas. And it's June right now. And I looked at them the other day and I was like, okay, so the right foot, which is the problem foot, has nothing on the back. Like the heel, left-hand side, gone. Actually has a hole. I'm pretty sure some of like the bits of the tread are rattling around inside the shoe. It squeaks when I walk. And have had to basically switch to an old pair of running shoes because they've got like the big thick raised heel sole for just some sort of cushioning to try and solve that problem. Got to a point, was in absolute agony, could barely walk, and was like, cool, like I say, don't need the feet for anything. The wrist. Started struggling with my right wrist, and I was like, what has happened here? I was struggling to use the arm. It was like all the way down the forearm, was struggling to use the arm, struggling to do certain things. I was like, well, like my feet, I don't need my arms for, climbing or lifting weights or picking up children or any of these things. Closing the boot on the car has been my most favourite. Having to try and shut the boot 3 times because you're not getting it right the first 2. I'm like, what has caused this? So I was like, hang on a minute. I remember pulling the muscle. I remember it happening. The only problem is I can't remember now what it was. So I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe I can piece it back together. And ultimately, I went, it's climbing related. I'll have done it at climbing. I'll have overstretched, or I'll have been coming down off something and not felt as steady as I should have done. And it'll be that. That's what it'll be. I just don't remember specifically. This went on for about, best part of a week. I still suffer with it at this point in time. Last Thursday, I had gone somewhere, which I'll talk about in a bit, and I was like, I am going to be super prepared for this. I've done 2 days of this, and this is the second day, and I was super prepared for the first one. I'm going to be even more prepared for the second. It's outdoors. It's best part 3 hours. I am taking not one, but 2 drinks. I'm going to take a hot coffee and I'm going to take a bottle of juice with ice cubes in for ultimately going and sitting in the sun for 3 hours. I am going to be ready for this. The coffee cup I took is one of those coffee cups. It's metal and it's designed to keep the heat. I also work on the principle if you put something cold in it, it'll keep it cold. Problem for me is with the lid on, it very much does its job. There is no heat leaving the cup. I do not like to drink hot coffee. I like it warm at best. So once I've sat down, I pop the spout and work on the principle that the heat can escape that way. But it's never enough. I've learned from experience that if you take the lid off, you've still got receptacle with hot coffee. Heat can escape a lot quicker. And you can get to drink it a lot faster. Winner, winner. I'm sat there, I was like, oh, I'm going to pop the lid off my cup of coffee. And I twisted the lid and I had to put a bit of effort into it. And I was like, ow. And it all came flooding back to me. I've got these 2, very similar in a lot of ways. What I use for cold coffee, 2 metal cups, metal lids, metal straws. They're amazing for cold coffee. 1 a day keeps the doctor away and all of that. If you've ever watched one of the video podcasts, you'll have definitely seen me supping away on a cold coffee from one of these cups. I've had them a while, and what is always the case with these cups is after a while the silicone seal starts to go and it'll just fall out. It basically gets too small. So what you tend to find is you have to hold the seal in place, put the lid on and put it on tight. Or too tight when you come to undo it and go, oh, I can't undo this cup. Put a bit of, bit of the old elbow grease into it. Still can't undo it. And I then had to put as much effort into it as I possibly can. And pulled the muscle, I say muscle loosely obviously, in my wrist and forearm. And when I then opened this cup of coffee on Thursday, it all came flooding back to me and I was like, you have got to be kidding. That's how I did it. No manly way. I wasn't, saving a damsel from a, wild beast. Nope. Opening a coffee cup. So that was that. The third one was the weirdest of all of them. Even now, I am still like, I do not know what happened there, but I'm a little bit scared. In our kitchen, we have a stool. It's a very long story about this stool. But ultimately, its purpose is, if you need a little perch in the kitchen, it's there for you. If you need extra storage, you can actually lift the seat up and put things in it. Or if you are a small child who loves to hurt themselves, you can use it to climb up and get nice and high in the kitchen and throw yourself off things. If you're so inclined. What I'm guessing will have been Wednesday last week, I think I was getting something out of the storage element of it. So I lifted I lifted the lid. And because I wanted it to stay open, me, being the intelligent human being that I am, went, I'll just use my knee to stop it from closing. So I ever so slightly pushed my knee forward, knowing full well that it would be in the way of the lid, so I could get out what I wanted, then let it close. Job done. The lid impacted is the word I'm going to use, but we're talking like an inch of drop. It was barely anything. Barely anything. And I went, oh. And that was that. That was the end of that story. The end. Or so we thought. Later in the afternoon, I was sat and I was like, I tell you something. My knee hurts. But not like my knee often hurts from like overuse and overweight. This is something different. This is external pain, not internal pain. I was sat in the exact seat I am sat in right now. I reached down to touch the knee. I'm touching it right now. And I went, what the hell is that? Because what I found on my knee was part of my knee was the size of a golf ball. And I was like, what? What is going on right now? I had to check my other knee to make sure that, weirdly, I hadn't discovered part of my knee that I'd never known was there before, and I had to check to see if it was the same on the other side. It was not the same on the other side. I had this huge part of my knee, like just above the kneecap, off to the left. It was massive. It was painful. It had what felt like bone in it. Like in a lot of ways it felt like quite sturdy, whilst also being the size of a golf ball. I'm like, do I need to get this looked at? As the day wore on, it's one of those things. A lot of the time, in a lot of situations, especially nowadays, something like that happens and I go, oh, that's very strange. I'll have to make a mental note of that and come back to it later. And coming back to it later means, unless the leg drops off, probably not going to look at it again. That's the way it is. It's kind of life, basically. So, like I say, firstly, change the shoes. Touch wood, touch fake wood. Seems to be helping, not perfect. Like I say, the shoes are old that I've switched to. And, not gonna lie, absolutely gutted if a pair of shoes I've had less than 6 months are done. That's going to be annoying. The wrist, basically I've had to use some sort of try and not use it as much system, whilst also going, it's my dominant hand, of course I'm going to use it. And I now open my coffee cups differently. The knee, by the next day, it was gone. Completely gone. Weirdly though, there was a spot on my knee. It was quite big, it was quite red. And it is still there now. But that was about it. I'm like, I don't, like even when I was explaining all of these things to Leon, I was like, to me, if you have a tiny little bump and end up with a massive lump in its place, that is something that is cause for concern, because it points in a particular direction that, we don't want to be talking about. So instantly concerned, and then it's not there anymore, so can we just forget about it? All this is just one giant middle finger from Karma for winding a mate of mine up, telling him that in a year's time everything's going to hurt. It's that time of the year. No, not Christmas. Coming to the end of the school year, so they start fitting all of the stuff in that they like to do. And last week was Sports Day. Now, some of you may know I've got a couple of kids. And what I mean by that is, obviously I've got 4. 3 of them are at school, which is a bit of a double-edged sword kind of thing, because on one hand, I get to go to 2 sports days. And on the other hand, I get to go to 2 sports days. That might sound worse than what I mean. What I mean is, when I say to my boss, I've got 2 sports days to go to this week, he goes, all right, that's fine, cool. Are you working that time back then? I guess so. So, sports day number 1, youngest daughter, middle daughter. Let's see what we get out of this. I will say this, last year's sports day did not go overly well. One of them got rained off. So, you got to take that into account. This year, one thing I will say, very much so, I was impressed with the organisation. They budgeted 2 hours. We were out of there inside of an hour. And I'm like, well, this is perfect. They got through all the class, all the kids, everybody got a sticker. Wonderful stuff. But here's the thing that we care about. How did my children do? Well, my middle daughter came, I think she came first in 2 races. And I think she had like a second and a third. And I was like, nice. My children surprise and amaze me every single day. Sometimes for things that I'm like, that is amazing. Other times it's things like, wow, well done. That was one of those times I was just like, well done to you. My youngest daughter, that's a different story. Now, here's the thing. I honestly, truly believe that if my youngest daughter had been paying more attention to the races she was supposed to be doing and less attention to what everyone else was doing, like the whistle would blow and she's looking at the other children. And I'm like, just go. Like, you could have won by now. If there's 5 kids in a race and 4 of them are stood still, just go and win. She did not have the success of her sister, unfortunately for her, because that made her sad. It's very difficult when your child is sad to not say, well, maybe if you'd have, run or gone when the whistle went, you might have won. No? Do we not think? But it was a good time. I enjoyed getting to see them. My eldest was like helping out, so I got to see all 3 of my children. All 3 of my school age children. Oh dear. In one go, which was nice. And had a perfect opportunity to make fun of my eldest just before leaving. So, cherry on top there. There's this thing at the moment my youngest daughter's like, oh, I'm sad because I didn't win. And I'm a bit like, did you try? We went to do an activity on Sunday. And she's like, I want to go first. I'm like, did you win last? Well, no. Then you can't go first. Those are the rules of the game. Well, that's not fair. I want to go first. Then do better. Sometimes I think I'm not good doing certain aspects of parenting. And other times I think children need a bit of push, a bit of like, come on, get the lead out, get on with it, come on. Other times they need the there, everything will be all right. And I think you have to have a balance between the two. And for some of my children, I am more in the camp of just get on with it. And other children, I'm more in the camp of they're there, it's okay. And I think that's not for everything, because for some things I'm like, oh, you did amazing. And then for the next child, I'll be like, you didn't do very well there. And they'll have both done very similar things. I work on the principle they're each individuals and each of them needs different amounts of support and encouragement. And sometimes encouragement, especially these days, looks a little harsher. But, I mean, I think we could all do with some encouragement at times. So, Sports Day 1 down, weather fantastic. Sports Day 2, 2 days later. I attend. I get there nicely early, which was actually surprising to me because, like I say, there was the coffee making thing. But I rocked up, 2 drinks in hand, felt like a freaking hero. No, I didn't bring any for the rest of the class. I just meant, in my world, for me, I was a hero. So, we get set up. Now, the problem is, Thursday's Sports Day was for a bigger group, an extra year. And my daughter is in the last year. And as the name suggests, the last year means that they go last. So you have to sit through X number of years, X number of children, and my favourite pastime, children that aren't yours, that you just don't care about. Now here's the thing, if you've got 5 days in a week and 7 years to get through, could we not do a couple on one day and then a couple on another day and really spread them out so everybody has to be there less and everybody can get to see more in a sense? Two things were brought up, one by me and one by the organisation for the second Sports Day. They said, we will really ask, they did this in the first one, but it was different because it was in a different place. We ask that parents stay off the running surface, the running area. And I said, why would they need to say something like that? That seems very silly to me. Yeah, before the end of Sports Day, I knew exactly why they'd said it, and I also looked at the people who decided to completely ignore those instructions as my new favourite insult is, they're an Audi driver. And it's really working for me. I feel it really lets everybody know what we're dealing with. So yes, a true collection of Audi drivers. So, the other thing was, if you're in a line and the person at the front of the line steps half a foot to their right to see something, then the person who is behind them has to step a whole foot to the right. And the person behind them has to step further and further and further. What I ended up with after a couple of races was, to see my daughter do her races, I had to stand up, because all I ended up with was this huge, like, horseshoe of parents who were all trying to see in front of the person in front of them. It was, yeah, it's one of those things. It really does descend into chaos very quickly. So, here's the thing. Honestly, I can't quite put my finger on it, but what I can say is this. My eldest daughter is, like I say, she's in the last year of school at that school. And there's a series of political things around that. So, you know, there was she was doing the organising again, but was part of it, so she couldn't organise it all. And she'd go into the race. Now, every year up to this point, very much like in her schoolwork, I don't really have to worry about her. You know, she's quite active, she's quite sporty in a lot of ways, and she wants to win, she wants to get it done. Every year up to this one, so every year it's like, oh, did you come first in that race? Yeah, I came first in that race. Cool. Did you come first in that race? Yeah. What about that one? Oh, no, I only got second in that one. Okay, cool. Don't come back to me unless you get first in the next one, because I'll have to disown you. So I should go away to come back. Yeah, I got first in that one. Okay, cool. That's all I need to hear. I'll make sure to keep feeding you. That was that. This year, for whatever reason, through whether it was just I don't really care, whether it was through the children I'm up against, I know are better than me, whether it's through she was getting more out of doing the organising of things than she was going to get out of running the races. For whatever reason, she came first in one of 5 races, and I'm not even sure she placed in the others. And I was like, there's a part of me as a person that's like, I honestly don't care. I just want to be able to see my child doing a thing. I'm like, I came, I watched your sports day. It was a good time. I enjoyed being able to see you compete. Well done. I'll see you later. That's one part of me as a parent. There is another part of me as a parent. The yin to the yang, shall we say, who is literally like, why did I bother coming here to watch you not compete in these races? What's the point in running the race if you're not going to try and do your best? So, sitting there going, oh, well done, you did well there, did you come first? No, I came second. Sure on that one? Maybe not. Okay then, do your best. It was a good old time anyway. Yeah, I got to see her. I got to make fun of her in a clipboard. And that was kind of that. Sports day done. There was a little bit of a I felt a little sad. It is sad. Like I say, there are a series of political things that go with it that I'm also not overly enamoured with, but it is what it is. So, yeah. Do we remember when I was having all my internet issues? I finally got someone to come and do what I think we can all agree should have been done a long time ago. I think it got to the point it was like 6 weeks from the first point in time that somebody came and was like, that box that you've got on your wall there, that needs replacing, because I think that's the problem. 6 weeks, 3 engineers later, every single one of those engineers said the box on the wall needs replacing. Some of them were like, the box on the wall needs replacing, but we can't look at it, touch it, or even be in the same room as it. So, can't say for definite. I think the box on the wall needs replacing. A man came. He replaced the box on the wall. Since then, I think what we're doing at this point in time is we're considering it fixed whilst simultaneously going, it's fixed, but it's not 100%. So just because it works mostly, are we considering that a win? I did a speed test before starting this podcast, and it was 60 meg lower than it had been previously, and that was consistently. So I was like, what now? Anyway, I've been dealing with a guy from my internet company. Same guy rings me every time, which I'm kind of like, yeah, that's cool. He phones me and goes, right, is your internet fixed? I was like, I think the answer is yes at this point. He's like, cool, let's talk about how we make this right. I was like, here we go. He's like, we're taking the first date to be this date when you made the complaint. I was like, okay. He's like, so we've calculated that from that date to now, you will get this much money as compensation for all the trouble you've had. And I said, no. I was like, your dates are way out. I'm going to say that your dates are out by a year. Because if we're considering that it's been fixed for the last few days, it's been broken since you changed it over, and it's never been right since. There was the point in time where I completely lost all internet, and then it's been intermittent service ever since. It was like, okay, I can see on the file that there was something put in a year ago. I was like, at least a year ago. He's like, well, this is what we're prepared to offer you as compensation. I was like, is that it? Now, it's one of those things. Ultimately, I just wanted it fixed. At the same time, if I'm paying you for a service and you aren't delivering that service, you need to give me something back just purely because of how it works. And if you lowball me to start with, let's face it, we all know that's what you're doing. My answer to you is, I'm sorry, no. Because we all know the way this system works. It was like, look, I'm going to take these dates away. I'm going to see what I can do for you. I think we all know what that means. I'm going to put you on hold for the next 10 minutes. And I'm going to put my feet up. A few minutes passed and he came back to me and was like, look, we've made an adjustment. Now, I honestly thought he was going to go middle ground on this. To me, you go low to start with. The person says, that's ridiculous. Absolutely not. You come back at a middle. The person then says, are you kidding me? Is that is the best you can do? And you say, look, Let me see what else I can do for you. So I fully expected him to come back middle ground. He returned and he was like, look, because of the dates and because of all the problems you've had and because it's taken so long to sort out and it's just been ongoing and blah, 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 we're going to offer you this. Now I am geared up and ready to say, no way, man. That ain't right. You gotta do better than that. But what he came back with was nearly twice as much as his original one, and I went, okay, so is that like paid into my bank or what? Is like you can do whatever you want, you can have it paid to your bank or have it credited to your account. I was like, I think I'll have it credited to my account because apparently I don't pay for internet anymore. It was one of the, I genuinely thought we were going to do the 3-step system, but he just went in way over and I went, yeah. And he was like, can we consider this complaint to be closed? And I was like, yep, yeah, we can. There's an element of it was kind of money for nothing because ultimately for me, I just wanted the internet sorted. I just wanted the service I was paying for. But let's face it, we all know how the game works. You know, if you can get a little cheddar cheese out of it, you're not going to turn down some cheddar cheese. And I am sure if I'd have gone, that's a better offer, but it's still not right, there might have been an extra few quid in it. But honestly, I was like, I just wanted it sorted. So, there. Obviously, like I say, a variety of different internet issues today. So we'll, keep an eye on that one. So, last Sunday, I think it was Father's Day. And I'll have talked about what me and my children did for Father's Day. And what a roaring success it was. So, what I wanted to do was go to the driving range, take the girls, hit some balls down the driving range, and then they've got a mini golf course, so play some mini golf. That's what I wanted to do. We did not do that due to supposed weather, which never really materialised. We get to this weekend, I'm like, so, driving range, yeah? Leon's like, if that's what you want to do that. I'm like, cool, I'm going to do that. We got booked in, play some mini golf. We get there. The place is heaving. Not only is their car park full, their overflow car park is full. The road that led down to the driving range had cars parked along it, and people were parking further up from there. Now, one of those things, I drove down to the main car park and managed to get parked, working on the principle, I guess somebody had just left. So, I go in. I'm like, hey, we're booked in. The guy was like, yeah, you are. He gave us some clubs. He gave us some balls. And that was that. Off we go to play mini golf. Now then, the place in question has a driving range, has a mini golf course, has a 9-hole golf course, has foot golf, cafe, the works. So, obviously, a lot of people could be there for a lot of different reasons. And what I ascertained was, I think there must be some sort of golf tournament going on. Because there was a lot of people with a lot of golf clubs dressed very similar to each other, all heading off to the golf course. So I'm like, okay, that's maybe why it's busy. The place that wasn't busy was the mini golf. So I take the girls over, we walk up. I'm like, hey, this is going to be slightly different to how we've done mini golf before because we've done it before indoors. This is different and it's a different kind of thing and it's a bit more complicated and it should still be fun though. let's have a nice time with some mini golf. I have a thing. It presents itself in two areas of my life. One of them is not really an issue. The other is. But this thing presents itself in these two places. I don't like people behind me when I am playing golf or driving. What do I mean? What I mean is, if you are behind me and, for example, let's say I can't see your front number plate because you are in my boot, shall we say, I don't like that. I don't want that. I feel we can all leave plenty of space, and I don't mean at, traffic lights and things like that. I mean driving down the road. It drives me up the wall. I find it to be just, well, one of those things, I guess. But I don't like it. I also don't like it on the golf course. Can't really explain it. I don't want to feel like I'm holding another person up. I'm not a good golfer. I never have been. I played a lot of golf. Never really got any better. Very much, I play golf like I climb. I reached a level which wasn't great, and I just stayed there. So, we walk out onto the mini golf course. There's nobody playing. That somebody had been playing moments earlier. We rock up. Nobody playing. I'm like, this should be good. I think this will be good. I think we'll enjoy this. We start. I've got 3 children. My eldest is okay at golf. By golf, I do mean mini golf. My middle daughter, I honestly wonder if my middle daughter might have a bit of an aptitude for it. When she tries, when she puts the effort in, when she lines the shot up and she takes the shot, she's pretty good. Unfortunately, she just doesn't do any of that stuff. So, there you go. My youngest daughter, I think I'll just give her a couple of years to see whether she gets it a bit more. She's more of a pusher than a hitter. We set off on the first hole, and I'm like, this is cool. I like this. This is, I've not played there before. I have used the driving range. We set off. Job done. We get through the first hole, and this is what I hear. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What the hell was that? That wasn't one of my children. What the hell was that? I turned round to see that as we walked into the mini golf area, there was a family sat at a table, what I presumed was enjoying a drink or a meal or something of some description. What I didn't think was that they were literally sat there waiting for us to start playing mini golf before deciding, hey, do you want to spend the next 12 holes, because it's not a 9 hole, it's 12 hole, the next 12 holes with us breathing down your necks? No? That's a shame, isn't it? I turned round and I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. And my instant thought was, is there a way to let these people go through? Because there was 4 of them, there was 4 of us, but I knew damn well from what I just heard that they were better than we were going to be. 12 holes of me going, darling, line your shot up. Take the shot. Don't just push it. Tap the ball. Okay, right. I've taken my shot. You need to set up yours so that you can be ready to go when I need you to go now. Okay, you've taken your shot. Now you get your shot going so that we can get everybody on the green. Okay, right. Pick your ball up. Go straight over to there. Get ready to, because you're going first. So you get over there and you... 12 holes of that. Do you know why? Because the family that appeared out of a cloud of smoke on the mini golf course decided these guys look like they're not great. You know, there's a little one there, and then there's not, you know. 2 children, 2 parents decided. I think the youngest child was probably the same age as my eldest. They decided we need to play this as fast as possible so that at all times we are right up behind you. Right up behind you. The entire time. Honestly, I was just like, for fuck's sake. And what made everything better was, seeing as we're stood here waiting for you guys to get through your hole, how about we start commenting on your game? How about we start telling you how the rules of golf work? By the last ball on the last hole, I literally picked the ball up, threw it in the hole, and walked off to the tune of, for fuck's sake. Because if that's you as a person, if that's you as a family, if that's the way that you go about operating in that situation, genuinely, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, go fuck yourselves. What a bunch of fucking... Here's the situation, ladies and gentlemen. Just wait a hole. Just wait 2 holes. Just think, those guys have just started. I'm going to wait a hole and then I'll go and get ready to start my family off playing. That way, by the time we've done that, there'll be a couple of holes between us. They've got plenty of time to play their game and we can just take our time playing ours. Nope. Why would you want to do something like that? Anyway, TV-wise, I finished The Gentleman. Series, fantastic. Really enjoyed it as a series. It had a lot of legs to it. There was one criticism I had was over the time that it took me to watch, over the fact that I had a break from the first couple of episodes and then watched the rest. A couple of key points were kind of lost on me because I couldn't remember what had happened earlier in the series, which caused a bit of a problem at one point. The series as a whole was great. The last episode, not so much. Now, it was fine. There's only one problem. The entire series hangs on one subject. The subject is that the main character doesn't want to be part of what the series is about. It's that simple. Yet, throughout the series, they get embroiled in what's going on. Until one conversation with what is obviously supposed to be a terrible character. I don't mean they're a terrible, I mean like they're a terrible character. They're supposed to be. One conversation with that person, which, let's face it, it's not the person you're supposed to be representing, it's supposed to be hanging everything on. One conversation with that person changed the entire course of things 180. And I went, no. That's not how this works. Because ultimately, you've spent 9.5 episodes telling us that you want things to be a particular way, and just for the hell of it, you decided to do a 180 to finish the series. Cool. No, not cool. Great series, very enjoyable, very watchable, really enjoyed it. Didn't agree with the way they ended the first series. Simple as. Obviously, I finished The Gentleman, and I needed something else in my life to watch. And I'd seen a couple of trailers a little while ago for a TV series based off the back of a film and had a lot of very good reviews. So I was like, I might give that a whirl at some point. Mr. and Mrs. Smith from the Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt movie. It's got Donald Glover in. And from seeing like a couple of trailers, would appear to have like an absolute monster cast. I know like Ron Perlman's in it. And Sarah... I can't think of her name. Paulson, is it? So I was like anything like this, I'll watch the first episode, see where we get to. So I watched the first episode, and really by the point in time that I went, man, I don't think this is for me. It was slow. A couple of the character traits for the main characters I didn't agree with. I wanted them to be the opposite, and they weren't. I'm not super enamoured with the female character, Jane. I just wish almost everything about her was opposite. Donald Glover is great in literally anything you put him in. Very talented person. And that comes out in basically everything he does. Watching the credits, his name was everywhere. Written by, screenplay, produced, and all sorts of other things. His name was there. So it was like, right, okay, that makes some sense. Right about the point in time that I went, this is too slow for me. Nothing's really happening. I'm not super into the characters. I just think that the trailers maybe oversold it. I know how trailers work. And the reviews must have been, I don't know what you call it, massaged maybe? Something exciting happened. And it all went real quick. And I went, ooh, that's interesting. And then it sort of like was a bit tense towards the end of the episode. And then kind of slowed down to the end. And I was like, okay. And it did like one of those mini trailers at the end of the episode. It was like, this season on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And it showed all the exciting things that were coming. And I went, okay, I think we can give it another episode. One of the things is everything has to be a mystery these days. And I think that's like a TV trope. Ultimately, they want you to keep watching and they want you to keep coming back. So I think it has to have a mystery. And that's what's going to keep people coming back. It's kind of like a TV thing these days. For me, I don't necessarily need it to have a mystery. Maybe you could just tell me and I'd be like, cool. So, yeah. I'll give it another episode and I'll see. Maybe it'll pick up a bit more. Or it's film. Not just film, a documentary. I annoyed my eldest daughter by watching said film/documentary. Myself, my daughter, eldest daughter, and Leanne had seen a trailer. Yes, watch. Thank you very much for that. That's very noisy. We'd seen a trailer for a movie about a subject that we all enjoy, which was climbing. There's a guy called Alex Honnold who has appeared in a book I read, funnily enough, about climbing. And the trailer for this film was he was going to solo, i.e. no ropes. Is it El Capitan in Yosemite? I suddenly realised that I didn't know what it was. And the documentary's called Free Solo, and it's about him doing this. And it's one of the most terrifying things I've watched. I had to watch it through my fingers for a lot of it because it was just so incredibly terrifying. And the whole time you're like, why would you do this? The biggest thing for me was, why would you consider climbing something without a rope or any sort of safety measures that you keep falling off when you have a rope? I mean, talk about the definition of insanity. It was great. It was beautifully shot. It was an amazing film to watch. It was hands down terrifying. I don't. It's hard to say because it's one of those. I would encourage anybody to watch it. Amazing film. But I also don't want to spoil it just in case you do, because, well, let's put it this way. It's going to go one of two ways, isn't it? My eldest daughter has taken offence to the fact that we watched it without her, because there had been a thing about us all watching it together. Me and Lamb were like, we're happy to watch it with her, but when that's going to be, don't know. So we've said that we'll happily watch it again. Simple as that. Problem solved. Computer games. Let's talk computer games. Firstly, VR. I've been hitting up these weird sale items. Somebody sent me a thing that would get me a code to get money off that Zombieland game, which I talked about. Whilst mooching around on the same site, I found a series of other codes for other games. Couple I got for Leanne. And then a couple of days later, I had another look, and there was another couple. I picked up one of them because it was a game that I've looked at in the past and gone, it's a little bit too rich for my blood. They wanted quite a bit of money for it, and I wasn't 100% sure that it was maybe going to be worth the money for me. But when it's like, oh, this should be £20, but you can have it for £1.90, you're a bit like, yeah, okay. So the game is Death Horizon Reloaded. I think in often situations where something like Reloaded is in the title, it's often where there's been a previous version of the game and it's either had a remaster or it's had a version 2 or that sort of thing. From seeing a couple of videos more recently, I do believe the game has gone through a bit of a change. Let's put it this way, it's worth £1.90, I know that much. very much a zombie game, very much a shooter, very much you can, have 2 handguns. You can have a machine gun or a shotgun or, whatever. You can have a melee weapon, but melee weapons get damaged over use and will eventually break. The one thing about this game that for me is it's a little bit much. Zombies can come from behind, and they frequently do. And it's proper scary. I like my zombies out front. And when they come from behind, it scares me. And I get a bit panicky. Something I will say on the subject of VR, I've realised over the last couple of days that it is too warm to play VR. So unless I can do something quite drastic, that might be the case for a while. So I'm going to have to see what that looks like in the future. The idea has always been that once it gets too warm to play VR, I will just transfer over to playing PlayStation. The problem I've got is something that I will talk about in a minute. Death Horizon Reloaded, I have reached a point where I have got a little bit stuck. I've looked up a video and gone, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. I would have never worked that out. So that's interesting. I will go back to it. Maybe if it's not going to be... The temperature's supposed to drop after tomorrow. So that's something. Whether it actually does, I'll believe it when I see it. Finally, I got accepted to play test a game. And it was apparently, what I found out later, I got accepted to play test a game on the day that the game got released. I managed to play the first bit of the game. And then it was like, yeah, you can do one or two things. You can uninstall the game, or you can give us 13 quid for the game and all 4 of its DLCs. And I was like, 13 quid's not bad. I'll take a punt on this. So I am playing Crime Boss Rocky City. I remember this game was due to come out a while ago and came out a while ago. And it had terrible reviews. And that was kind of the end of that. Or so we thought, because apparently the people that made the game and developed the game didn't give up on it. And they apparently carried on working at it and carried on releasing updates for it and got it to a point where apparently it's a lot better now than it was originally. Now then, here's the thing, and here's a little aside to this. In my mind, I work on the principle that I'll buy V Rising on the PlayStation. And that's going to be my first kind of welcome back to playing PlayStation. There's a problem. I own V Rising. I own it on the PC, or as I play on the Steam Deck. So why would I spend double the amount if I already own it? Crime Boss is available on the PlayStation. Part of me is like, well, it's like 15 quid or something to get it on the PlayStation. Might as well just do that and play it on the PlayStation. Again, question would be, but why? I already own it. I can play it on the Steam Deck. The argument would be, I recently bought my 3rd copy of Ghost Recon Wildlands and my 2nd copy of Breakpoint, and I'm probably going to buy a 3rd copy of Breakpoint. That's a whole other story that's far too long to go into right now. Anyway, a series of asides there. let's get back to it. Crime Boss is what I found out a little bit too late. What I always thought was rogue-like, but I believe it is rogue-lite. Learn something new every day. If you die, and you start the game again. What it actually means is if your boss, played by Michael Madsen, dies, you start the game again. When you start the game again, you can have some perks which are permanent perks to the game. The idea being is you'll get so far, you will die, you will improve your character or your chances and start the whole thing over again. Some of the interesting things about this game is, like I say, Michael Madsen plays the boss. Kim Basinger is in it. Another Glover, Danny Glover's in it. Danny Trejo's in it. Chuck Norris plays the sheriff, who ultimately you are up against. I played it. I enjoyed it. I played it. And then I didn't like it. Once I realised this whole rogue aspect of the game, I was like, oh man. But I did some Googling and some looking into it and found that actually it's not too bad a system in this case. Like I say, you die, you get better. I know that's how these games work, but I've never really seen the benefit to them. Whereas this game just keeps sort of changing and evolving. For example, every time you start, you seem to get a different cutscene. I think I've played like 15 different campaigns at this point. I get a different cutscene every time. Like, there's some work's gone into this. If you do a mission right, you do it right. Oh, Michael Rooker's in it as well. If you do a mission right, you win him. If you do a mission wrong, you're not winning. Problem being is the game feels a lot like there are times when there was no choice in the matter. You were going to fail that mission and you were going to go backwards in the game. It almost to a point where it kind of feels scripted, which it can just be annoying. It's like, oh look, this character died because of nothing I did in the game. It was just their time to die. Sometimes it's Michael Rooker and other times it's your boss. I find it to be an interesting game. Do I find it to be a good game? I don't know at the moment. Some aspects I'm still trying to get to grips with. I find that, there are times... There are times to stick and there are times to twist, let's put it that way. I will keep on keeping on, keep on playing and stuff. And if I do, I will keep you guys updated and informed. That's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will catch you next time. There we go. What do you think to that? Another one gone. Another one. Can you believe it? Another one gone. Oh, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Before you go, do think, hey, I like that. I'm going to subscribe. Click the subscribe button. Click a like while you're there. Share the podcast around. What else? Leave a review. 5-star, obviously. Say, hey, I love this podcast. It's the best. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.